All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Triple Feature. We are the last ones probably to be recording a Zack Snyder cut of his new version of Justice League, but we are finally here and we have seen it. We've watched all 4 hours of this movie, and we have some thoughts on it. Definitely some thoughts, and I think we should first talk about the original Justice League. What do you call it? The Joss Whedon cut? I don't know what to call it because it still says on the movie, it still says it's directed by Zack Snyder.
Well, I would say the theatrical cut.
Yeah, the theatrical cut, I guess.
It's the only one that came out in theaters, right?
Yeah.
So that might change in the future, but
it's the original.
I don't remember much, and I feel bad. I probably should have gone back and rewatched it, but I was so bored.
It's so boring, man.
Okay.
The car just committed suicide.
That's what I remember about the movie is I was confused by almost every plot.
How did this happen?
I mean, it wasn't as bad as like Fast and Furious 8. Yeah. Like I wasn't like that frustrated with it. I wasn't Wonder Woman 84 frustrated with it, but I just remember being just really, really boring. So I did not want to go back and revisit that.
And this is why I didn't watch it for all this time until I saw this coming out. I had no interest in seeing it. And then when the Zack Snyder cut was coming out, as a film fan, it very much interested me, the fact that we'd have a theatrical movie and then a director coming back and saying, that's not my cut, and he has 2 more hours to add to it. So it almost didn't matter to me what movie this would have been interesting to me no matter what. Yeah. This could have been Princess Diaries. And they're like, we're coming back with a 2-hour-long version from the director's cut. And I'd be like, I'm in.
And just so a quick short review of the Snyder cut before we get into it all. I think Zack Snyder is on the edge of doing something really good, but I don't think he can quite realize his vision fully. And that's nobody's fault, this is proven it's nobody's fault but his, but it ultimately becomes a mess and something I'm end up just bored with. And half of it's really goofy and half of it's almost interesting. But when I start to read about it and look at why he did the things he did, I start to understand I see what he was going for. But it's if someone hands you $40 million and basically says, we won't give you any notes, just take this existing movie and do a recut and refilm whatever you need to, and you still can't make a movie that's good. I think that's the only person to blame at that point is you.
I guess my quick thought on this before is there's no doubt this is better than the theatrical Justice League.
Yeah.
This fills in the gaps. This fits in points where things that just don't explain, they don't give character time. All these sort of things that happen in the movie, he takes all of these things and he makes them better, except for one point, which we'll talk about. One thing that I think the majority of film Twitter would completely disagree with me. So give us a background, to kind of set us up. In Batman versus Superman, Batman has this dream. What was the dream he has?
Yeah, so in Batman versus Superman, I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he has this vision, and I guess it's supposed to be the future, although it doesn't. I don't think it specifies that. Yeah. Everything's desolated. Batman comes out with this cool trench coat and goggles, and he gets attacked by all these flying bug creatures, which are prevalent all over in the Snyder cut. And then I don't really remember much other than he fights those off, and then Superman shows up and he's evil, and he just starts murdering like everybody, and you're just kind of left wondering like what was that, and honestly it's one of the it doesn't make any sense, but it's one of the best scenes in the movie.
That is true. It is, because the way it's shot, Batman shows up looking rad. He looks awesome. He's got
the thing with Snyder is Snyder in all his movies. Every movie that I've seen, I haven't seen Sucker Punch, but all the movies I've seen, he makes costumes look cool, and not everyone can do that. Yep. Superman notoriously looks dumb.
Personal note, head colonist Alan Wilson.
What do you think?
That's my boy.
If you watch Watchmen, everyone looks really cool, which you wouldn't think. They're wearing stupid wings and stupid outfits. 300, everybody looks hot and good. I mean, everything. He visually, I think he's fantastic.
Yeah. No, okay. So that's everything up. And we saw that this new one opens up, and I already thought when this new movie opened up, I was like, okay, this is much more of an epic opening. It's much better explanation of how these boxes come to way go away. Starting with Superman dying from Batman v Superman, his yell going out. It this blast, his yell, his death starts awakening these boxes.
Yeah,
we get that last shot from Batman vs Superman with Lex Luthor, and he's there, and there's Steppenwolf with the boxes, and you're like, what the world is this? And then it cuts to the Amazonian women, and their box starts shaking, and should be careful how I say that. And then it does, and then it goes down underwater. Aquaman's people, and it shakes. So it already opens with this long opening, but one that really gives you an explanation of how this starts.
Yeah,
His death. And so I was like, oh, cool. There's a lot of slow mo. Everything is slow mo. Which they have found that now. Someone actually timed it. It was 10% of this movie is in slow mo.
Oh, really?
10% of the film is in slow motion, which is just insane. And it's a 4-hour movie, so it's all this happens. It opens a box, and now instead of like 15 minutes into the movie, we then have Batman searching for Aquaman. And he goes down to this little coastal town where he meets. He's looking for him, and all this seems pretty much the same as the other one. But I did like he goes down to the edge of the water in this one. And last time, Jason Momoa gets in the water, and then everyone's watching him, and then he goes, he shoots off. This one, he just ducks under. He goes under the water, and then these girls start singing. I was fine with. I thought it set a cool tone. It, just like the rest of the movie, went too long. They just kept singing.
Well, and the problem is Snyder really wants to frame these heroes as like gods. They're not very relatable as people. They're not very interesting and deep. And as you see with the flashbacks, they're supposed to be more like descendants of old gods almost.
Yeah.
But the problem is they don't really act like it. Like when Aquaman shows up, like he's just chilling with everybody. Nobody's giving him any respect. And in the second opening, when he saves the guy on the boat and he comes into a bar, he like gets a drink, and then he's like, the guy's basically asks him how he's going to pay for it. Like nobody really cares. It's just a weird mix of, I see what he's going for, and I liked that scene, but it doesn't really fit with anything else. And so that's what I felt like this whole movie is. I'm waiting. I feel like I'm just trying to ignore the stuff that I don't like and waiting for scenes that I think are interesting.
That's the tone in this movie. He changes things, which I think the tone is kind of all over the place. He does these music video parts with like Aquaman, right? Now it had it in the other one, a real short thing of playing rock music. It was the White Stripes music, and he's like drinking something, jumps in the waves. But this one, it goes into like a slower song out of nowhere, and it's in slow mo. And he's like slowly and I was like, what's happening? This is like,
yeah. And I want to mention with Batman, same with the Flash. Snyder re-edits it where he gives them both 2 openings, and both openings could be switched. Like you can't tell which one comes first other than in the editing, because we cut back to Aquaman. We cut in what I had just mentioned. A guy is on the boat about to die. Aquaman shows up, says something witty, I think. Gets him. First thing he does is just throw him on a table in a tavern, takes a drink, and it's just like, this guy's got like gonna pay for my drink or whatever. And then he leaves. And then we have that slow-mo scene where he's standing on the dock and the waves rise up around him. Again, that's like, looks cool. I don't know why we need that. We already introduced this character. That scene adds nothing to his character. And we see this again with Flash, which I won't get into, but we have 2 openings with Flash. Neither one, I mean, only one of them really sets up any character. And so instead of Snyder scrapping everything and just creating a completely new opening for Aquaman, we just get 2 random openings, and one is essentially worthless.
Yeah, no, we get 2 openings. And now, so in the original Justice League, they open with Flash of him going to meet his dad, played by the Golden God from Almost Famous, who looks way better with I don't know why he doesn't always have a mustache. Super
Very
sexy with a mustache.
One of my favorite actors.
Good actor. So this opening of Flash, which I was like, oh, we get a whole new opening. He shows up to a pet store to look for a job, and he's late because he says the bus was late. So I guess, yeah, it's a joke because he's really fast, but he still doesn't get somewhere on time. He pulls out of his pocket his resume, which is all messed up in his pocket, and makes a joke about what is like a monster in his pants or something. I don't know if it was like I don't remember something like that. Oh, he has a monster in his pants, but something weird like that about his thing. And then he looks, he looks over, he's there, and there's like this this girl that's going by, this like girl that he looks at, and he's like, you can tell he's like, what's up? And I'm like, oh, must be setting up a love interest for the movie, maybe having this movie, the next movie. And not this movie, but then as she's going, this guy that's driving a truck who drops, what did he drop? Cinnabon? What did he drop? Honey bun?
Was it honey bun?
It might have been, yes. Like
pastry. Yeah.
Some kind of pastry. And this guy was just like, look, I'm fat and I got to eat now. And so he can't stop reaching down to try to get his food. This guy's starving. He's probably diabetic. He needs a little extra sugar at the moment. And he goes past and she starts to slam into the truck. So Flash turns and you get this scene of Flash turning and he touches the window as he's going and it breaks. And you're like, oh, cool. They're doing a cool effect.
Yeah, his shoes rip off.
Yeah, his shoes rip off. Get this cool scene. And then it turns into a music video again. Okay, so number one, he's getting close. It goes into this music video. We're watching. I'm like, what's happening here? As he's going around her, he's staring at her as if he's going to assault her, right? He's staring at. I'm like, is he like, or what are we getting into? Is he going to touch her? What's going to happen here? Like
we all felt
the vibe here, right? This is within a millisecond. She's not knowing what's going on. And then as he's doing that, then he looks and he sees hot dogs. And
the truck driver also had a hot dog stand.
He had a hot dog. Oh yeah, sorry, right. A hot dog stand. So as he's going to save her, he's also reaching slowly to this pretty music and grabbing a hot dog. And I'm like, what in the world is going on? Yeah. The weirdest commercial hot dogs.
Yeah. Okay. So, and this is what I want to talk about, and I wasn't sure when to come in with it, but the phallic imagery and the toxic masculinity are all over the place in this movie. Okay, so we have a shot of a pretty young woman, right? Yeah. She's in danger, of course. The woman's in danger, and then the man comes and basically freezes time to touch her and do whatever he wants unconsensually.
Men behave like morons and like pigs.
Yeah. And then what do we get? The shot up close of her face with a hot dog just slowly floating towards her face. And then, of course, in typical, hyper masculinity style, he cares more about the phallic imagery than he does even taking care of the woman.
The girl in the car is an African American. Okay,
yeah.
We know she's strong. She's a strong woman. She's independent. She don't need no man.
Well, she has her own car.
Comes in at the natural thing comes in. Who saves her? It's the white savior mentality.
Yeah,
she needs a white male to come in and save her. Which is what always happens. And so you had all these imagery and people talk about Joss Whedon doing that. It was like, oh, this guy's a, pervert. He's trying to add scenes in and stuff. Snyder's obviously doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I think he's a little more subtle in what he does. I think he hides it a little bit more to try to corrupt, me and my children. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. It's all there. And
he really wants to get that imagery in there and kind of put women in their place and show that the women, they can't do it themselves. I mean, they tried, they failed. And ultimately at the end, I assume we'll put a spoiler alert at the beginning of this, but Wonder Woman, she technically cuts off Steppenwolf's head, but she couldn't have done it without Superman. So again, we have this white savior who has to come and save everyone. This review has been brought to you by hot dogs. Cold, generic hot dogs. Hot dogs have been a family favorite for generations, beloved by children, adults, and superheroes alike. Boiled in an old pot, absolutely destroyed in a microwave, or straight out of the fridge, hot dogs are always a delight. So today, grab the food product that makes even the world's fastest man stop dead in his tracks and sneak one into his pocket. Hot dogs. Stop and smell the wieners.